I know. I'm kind of aware, and like all my friends follow.
Right.
I kind of. It's good. I like the World Cup. The World Cup's exciting.
Oh yeah, no, for sure.
Are you in?
Yep.
Okay, nice.
Yep.
Yeah, let's do it.
Alright.
We don't have to for attack, actually.
Really?
Oh, what do you want
Is
me
this
to-
this is a scrum VOD, right?
Mercy.
So this is actually a game.
Great.
We compete in this league
Yeah,
once a
I
week.
mean-
We can start with dive and change if we
We
do.
kind of just go through.
Yeah.
and
Yeah,
Because if we take that
obviously-
high ground early,
but yeah, this is like an actual game.
I was staying mostly with Pit to,
Okay.
fuck the word. Fuck, I'm not mentioning.
Fucking
Famous
words,
boost.
dude. They're so hard.
Oh yeah.
Is this the comp that we roll out on?
Yes.
Okay.
Actually, this might not be the start of the video either.
And
I think we're on
then-
defense first. or something.
Yeah.
It's pretty high.
Okay, Tanks, tell us when you're ready.
Yeah.
Okay, so the bar's pretty high.
I'm just thinking about the comp.
Yeah.
For a moment. I mean, I guess. Do you? I can just. Okay, we can do this one of two ways. I can just focus on your play and ignore what's going on with everyone else, or I can give you some feedback on that too.
No, everything works.
Okay. Personally, I wouldn't play this comp.
Okay.
Mainly because Tracer has very little value on this map, and it's really difficult for her to do anything. And secondly, if you run Anna, you don't have a defensive ult. And for second point, it can often be difficult to get through, so being able to brute force it with a defensive ult is really nice.
Of course, yeah.
So typically I wouldn't run either of these two heroes. Everything else is great. So I would just exchange a Zen for this, and I would just put a Genji here, right?
Okay. Gotcha.
It's pretty uncommon in general for people to run two hit scans, because usually you have a hit scan player and a projectile player.
Right.
Typically, anyway. Usually, I mean, it depends. That's how it used to be. It's not so much like that anymore.
Right.
And the Genji blade just gives you something, right? You have, in terms of ults, like game-winning ults here, you have 0. You have no ults that are going to win you a fight.
Right.
So it's like, this is basically 0 value. You have nothing to combo with this, so it's basically no value. Valk's kind of nice, I guess. Like, what are you gonna nano? Maybe Monkey, but that's pretty low value. And obviously Widow ult, like, who gives a toss? So like, you have 6 pretty low value ults in this team comp, which is not great.
Okay.
I will record this for you.
Okay.
by the
Oh,
way.
perfect.
Sorry, I always forget.
I'm actually
Fine.
recording it right now too, so
Performance.
there's no worries.
Okay. Okay, that's fine. I'm still going to record.
Yeah. No. All good.
Okay, I hate that. Yeah, so I personally wouldn't run this comp just because of the ults that you have.
Okay.
And the fact that Tracer has pretty low value.
Right. Right.
There's an argument to be made for Anna. Like, if this player is like really comfortable and really strong on Anna, then
Okay,
sure.
There was
Yeah,
lots of
definitely more of
communication
a-
the last game.
An Anna
so-
one trick than anything else there.
Great,
so.
I see.
But at the end of the day, you're playing a dive comp, and the only time that I'd run Anna is if I had Genji, because then you have the combination of Nano Blade, right?
Right.
Otherwise, like, you have 2 main healers. She's just going to be pocketing Widow.
Yeah.
Anyway, you just don't get enough value of having these 2 main healers,
Yeah.
realistically.
Totally understand. Yeah.
So I would definitely be playing Genji. Either you play Genji in this spot, and then you can keep Anna, or you go Zen, and maybe change this to a Sombra. I would personally run Zen and Genji still, because Nano Blade isn't a stronger
I see.
combo as it used to be.
Right. Yeah.
Because obviously it used to
Sounds good.
shit on everything,
Yeah, fair.
Oh, for sure.
but it
have
doesn't.
Zarya?
It doesn't have quite the same
Zarya's
impact as
Zarya.
it used to.
Got the Hanzo?
Nice.
Nice.
Discord. Get ready to go.
Widow.
There, Widow,
Yep, got Widow.
Widow one.
Where's Widow?
When he's down.
Anna.
Is there a reason we go for this rollout around the outside?
Yeah, so we were working on it the couple weeks leading up to the game. We thought having the Widow try and get a pick from the start and then kind of flanking them from the side was going to be the best way to go for it.
Okay. if you don't have any presence, your Widow shouldn't get any picks.
Okay.
Like, I mean, at the skill level you're at, sure, it's possible, but in higher level play, this would not work. Mainly because no one ever positions in this area.
Okay.
It's actually like not possible to hold this area unless you're trying to play in their spawn.
Right.
I can see why you might roll out this way if you were trying to run goats on this map, which would be pretty mad, but
Yeah.
there's no reason not to go for the close roll up, right?
Okay.
Roll
Yeah.
out. If you're playing on the right hand side, you can't take any poke. You
Right.
get to this corner and then you can execute a dive from here, right?
Right.
And if they're stupid enough to play in this room, like a lot of teams are, then you dive, take this position, trap them in the room. Great, you win the point.
Right.
Or if they're smart and they're playing blue box, you can safely dive up to this position and
Right.
have control of all of that space for free.
Right.
And then obviously you can move up to blue box from there and create some pressure for your Widow to get next.
Yeah, one thing I've really noticed watching this back on myself is just my focus firing is just awful. I'm focusing the tanks way too much besides the back line, so.
Okay. We'll talk about that when we get to it, I guess.
Gotcha.
So, are you okay? It
Yeah.
sounded like you
Yeah,
just
no,
choked
sorry,
into
starting to
water.
die there a little bit.
No,
We're good.
okay. So typically when you're staging for a dive, you want to know where the team are, right? So you can dive onto a target and kill it instantaneously.
Mm-hmm.
You blind dive up from there and have no idea what target you're going on,
Right.
or where you're going to. You dive with literally no direction here, right? You're just like, oh, I'll just flop into the middle of their team and hope that there's something there.
Yeah.
So in an ideal world, either your Widow or your Genji, if you had one, right, who could have just walked up here, would have said, "So and so is here." He sort of, Anna's on the back stairs, right? Mm-hmm. So then you could dive straight onto the Anna, right,
Right.
and take the least amount of poke as possible.
Where's Widow?
When he's down.
Anna low. Nice.
Ryan. He's at the mini.
Yeah, focus right. Ryan's one. Down. Nice. Sorry.
Hey, sir.
Push cart.
I'm on point.
You're low, Winston.
And back.
You don't want to be engaging here, right?
Right.
There's actually no benefit for you to killing someone here
Right. Okay.
because they're gonna have fight. They're gonna all come out and contest this at last point, no matter what.
Okay. Yeah.
If you die, your team are then now at a disadvantage.
Mm-hmm.
The key to running and executing a good dive is the setup every single time, right?
Right.
It's about controlling a position, knowing where your kill box is, and executing into that kill box.
Okay.
So you got those first kills, they have to back off. You can then set up on the high ground, like up here or up here, where we can't see on the other side.
Right.
And then you can dive onto them as they come through any of the chokes.
Okay.
There's no point pushing this spawn here, right?
Winston,
Yeah.
Winston.
Yeah. No. Definitely realized that.
Yeah, spawn attack.
Let's go move point.
I mean, against so at much higher level of play, they might have killed one person, and then they would have set up for the next fight
Right.
because the other team would have backed out with just one kill.
Let's do
Let's
three
play
on top.
conservatively tied.
They have they're missing.
So you've got 4 people alive. You're dead. You need to be telling your team to back up and regroup.
They're missing Hanzo.
Okay.
They're missing Hanzo.
Miracle of science.
Also, the fact that none of these guys are set up on high ground is pretty questionable.
There are widows up top of me. Low.
The only person that should be stood on cart is okay. No, I'm not even sure where they are now.
Pushing cart. Okay.
Okay, so everyone is high ground now.
They're on point.
Yep.
They're purple.
Point.
Yep.
They're purple.
You say, I'm going on Zen at forklift, right?
Yep.
Anna, no nade.
Cog is getting dove. Careful, Cog.
Sorry. No problem.
Sorry.
So who's your main target caller? in the team?
So that kind of depends. Typically it's the tracer player here. But yeah, I think it kind of depends.
Who should it be?
It should be me.
It should be you.
Yeah.
Exactly. Because, especially when you're playing Reinhardt, you're the one who can't go the furthest.
Anna.
And same here, you have the shortest range.
Mm-hmm.
Just gonna what's on cart, you know?
Right.
And you should be calling this area.
Okay.
I'm on Zara on cart, Zara on cart, Zara on
Connor's
cart.
getting dove. Careful, guys.
Like, because if you say I can't go on Anna, then it's pretty clear to your team you can't go on Anna, right?
Right. Yeah.
Ryan. Focus target. Yeah.
I think the key, this is a point I give to so many people. Commentate your own play, right?
Okay.
Like your making process, everything you're doing. I'm on Zara on cart. I don't have jump. I'm on Zara on cart. Zara on cart. Zara no bubbles, and keep communicating that, right? As you see things unfold.
Okay.
Anna no nade. Like you can say that stuff while you're still focusing this area, but just like that constant flow of information. And like Hanzo's come out right side.
Hanzo's right.
Hanzo's still close right. I'm chasing
push up.
Hanzo.
Let's stagger them.
I'm going for Hanzo.
Hanzo.
He's
Hanzo's one.
They have fast.
Hanzo's one. Nice. Okay, push guard.
And now, what should we be doing now?
Should be taking high ground.
Yeah, right, and setting up for your next dive.
Yep.
So the key to second point is controlling spaceship, right?
Mm-hmm.
So you should have at least you and Diva setting up on spaceship.
Right.
And ideally, since you've just killed everyone, they're probably going to try and I'm just going to draw it right through the door that's up there that we can't see.
Right.
That's probably something like that. Like, it's really difficult to draw, right? But ideally, you can execute into that as they try and come through it.
Okay.
The key to dive is to try and dive people. Like, so say, imagine that is the choke that's up there.
Right.
Ideally, you dive them as they're coming through the choke. This little box here, this is what we refer to as a kill box. So anything that moves through that box has to die.
Okay.
And ideally, well, anything that moves through the box, maybe that's an overstatement. The second something you can kill moves into that box, you kill it.
Right.
So say they're running Winston, Diva, and say there's a Zen in there somewhere. The Winston, the Diva dive, whatever. Your team are positioned effectively, so like your Widow's back here, your Genji's poking from here, whatever. They can't get dove on. They dive to you guys on high ground. You guys say, screw you. I'm just going to dive onto the back line as they walk through the box that would be up here, right?
Right.
Oh, I can't draw it, right?
Okay.
But that's the ideal case.
Monkey up top. They have a monkey now.
They're still regrouping though. I have bomb in this fight.
So they're Anna's bottom right. Yeah. You should communicate that.
Okay.
Jeez. So
They're still regrouping though.
press tab in a
I have
second.
bomb in this.
So their comp is terrible,
Yeah.
but you need to identify what you can kill in that comp, right?
Right.
So literally all of these. Their comp is terrible. Is
Okay.
the only thing I can say.
Yeah. Very
but
easy dive target.
Who's your number one priority here?
Out of that, I'd go Zen.
Okay, so yeah, it's either Zen or Anna, right?
Right.
Zen's probably slightly easier to kill. Anna is probably slightly more important
Okay.
because Anna's the main. So since she's going to be the one that dishes out the most healing, killing her is kind of generally more important. However, Zen has Discord, which is obviously really, really, really strong, and most importantly, if he has his ultimate, he becomes more important, right? His
For sure.
status is elevated at that point.
For sure.
So whoever has their ulti, whoever has their win condition. For instance, if they have nothing and you know that they have Grav, Zarya becomes your top priority, right?
Right.
In this fight, and he has
Well,
no.
everything except for slice and bomb.
Sorry.
Gosh, Zen was way out of position.
Why'd you drop off high ground here?
That's a great question, and I don't have an answer to it.
Yeah.
Yeah, no,
The
definitely.
key,
taking
right, is
space.
you always want to be controlling high ground because it's easiest for you to dive on any target, and you can see everything that's happening, right? If you are here looking at whatever you want to dive on, you have free vision from up here. I mean, ideally, you're up on top of spaceship.
Okay.
That would be best. That would be the best place to be. Like I said, if you guys had won that first fight and then just set up straight on spaceship, then that would have been best because you're ready to dive on as they come through any chokes.
Right.
So You have a fair amount
I
of
have
information.
bomb in this fight, and he has
Well,
no.
everything except
So the information that needs to be being called now is who is where, who can we get on, where are their team.
Okay.
That's these these guys' job, right?
Right.
That is what a DPS does in a team. It tells you where stuff is because they could scout. Because they're generally much more mobile than you. Obviously, Widow isn't, but she's actually peeking their team.
Right.
So she knows what's going on. So ideally, the Tracer's like somewhere in the back line. It's like, okay, Zen's bottom right, and you're like, okay, I'm ready. I'm gonna go bottom right. Going bottom right in 3, 2, 1. Dive onto the Zen.
Okay.
Ideally, you're set up before they come through any chokes, so you can just execute onto a choke. But if you end up in a fight like this where they're already out and they have control of some space, then you have to be looking for whatever target. Okay. So that's what you should be doing in this time right now. You should be setting up high ground and, like you said, ideally looking for this guy.
Okay.
everything except for slice and bomb.
Sorry.
Gosh, Zen was way out of position.
So, like, all of this is useless comms, right?
Yeah.
I'm gonna wait for Winston's next.
And you give them all of this space for free. Like, they've actually pushed you back into this area that you're in now. The second you lose control of, like, everything kind of beyond that, you're at a disadvantage.
Okay.
You had control of all of that, and you just gave up all this space without any sort of fight. I think the only person who's having any impact is your Widow. They're literally... Widow is literally 1v6ing right now. Right. Because you're not taking any space. I don't know where your Diva is. Maybe she's taking some space. But
yeah, I think she's taking space here and looking for a bomb once the monkey dropped the bubble.
Okay. I guess that's kind of the only place you can go for. But, you know, you're the main tank.
Right.
Right? What is your job in the team as a main tank?
To create space.
Yeah, precisely, right? And you've just given up all this space for nothing.
Right.
Which is, like, you know, you're straight up just not doing your job. If you're just giving up all that space for free, like, you should have fought that monkey for that position.
Right.
They shouldn't have even got through that choke or the one that's up the top, right? They shouldn't have even been able to get through either of those because you're playing a dive comp. They're playing whatever the fuck they're playing.
Next shield and bomb.
So the only time you might go for this fight that you're doing right now is when you don't know where anyone is. But if you know where the supports are, you might... So maybe you engage like this.
Yep.
And then, like, your tracer will say, Zen's bottom right. Okay, like, okay, I'm going bottom right. 3, 2, 1, go. Or I'm going bottom right in 3, 2, 1 now.
Right.
And that also gives everyone some time to give you a negative call, right? They can say, I can't go.
Okay.
If a diva says, I can't go, well, you're like, I'm going with Primal. Don't worry about me.
Gotcha.
Because you can go deep, right? Because you have Primal and create a shitload of space. These guys are going to have to go backwards because you're killing their backline. That's great. You've done your job.
Zen low. Monkey in the back.
Zen one, monkey.
Right. If they call... So the key with any call in general, like always, is... Hero... Well, let me think about the order. It doesn't really matter, I guess. Hero, HP, and location, right?
Okay.
So Zen, half HP, back left. All calls in general have to be like that because everyone needs to know where it's happening.
Gotcha.
And it's less important in, say, Goats, right? Because everyone's in the same space.
Yeah.
And obviously we're spending a lot of time in that meta, so people are kind of forgetting that when you play a dive comp, you need to call locations. It's super duper important.
Right. Yeah, and we don't run a ton of goats, honestly, so there's really no excuse for us not to do that.
Yeah, if you don't ever play Ghost, then you should absolutely be doing that. Because this is why you're focusing this monkey. You've got no idea where this Zen is that they're calling because it's low HP.
Right.
Oh, this target says,
Or if you do, I certainly do. I'm going on Anna, bottom right.
Anna.
Anna's half HP, bottom right. Anna on cart, half 1 HP. Anna dead. I'm going on Zarya.
Sorry.
Right? Like, if you're calling like I am, like that,
Yeah.
then you're giving your team so much information.
Good job. Push cart.
So, first thing, make sure they don't recontest, right?
Right.
Set up for the next fight. Ult check as well, right?
Okay, we're gonna have
Whoever's job that is, they should be ult checking.
Let's push really aggressive.
But you didn't need everyone in this cart, right? You needed one person to stand on cart right now. Everyone, all other 5 people should be setting up to kill these guys.
Right. Yeah, throw.
Instead, you wait for the door to open when there's a choke down there, there's a door down there, there's a door up the top. All of those would have been the thing to do. You should have been... The second a fight's done, in fact, the second 3 people are dead, the fight is done.
Right.
I mean, that's kind of the rule that we use.
Okay.
People in general kind of use that rule. If you're 3 people up over them, so if you're 6 and they're 3, or if you're 5 and they're 2, whatever, then you've won the fight. You should be setting up for the next. Well, I mean, ideally it would be ult check first and then set up for the next fight, but
Zen and Widow.
it doesn't matter too much.
Going for Zen first.
So we just discussed this. Who's your top priority target, right?
Yep, either Ana or Zen.
Right. Yeah, Zen and Widow.
Those 2 are so
So-
rigged up, and Widow's not the one to go after. Yeah, for sure.
And your team are diving on this then.
Mhm.
Who should initiate a dive?
Should be me.
It should be you, yeah. This is your team's mistake for going for this. They should have pressured you into... It's because you didn't set up right. You were the one that stayed on cart. They went forwards already to set up,
Right.
which you should have done, right? The second they won that fight, I would have, if I was you, I would have been setting up, like, you know, up here.
Okay.
So you can then kill them as they come out that door.
Gotcha.
If they were any good, they would have just jumped off the map. But they're now going to get staggered really hard.
Yeah.
Going for Zen first.
Yeah, Zen.
Also, if everyone's calling Zen, don't just go on another target.
Yeah.
Monkey shield.
Yeah, that was
Where's
stupid.
Widow? Okay, Widow down. Widow down.
Yeah,
We can still push up.
So, okay, you're only 2 up, but this fight's done. They're backing out.
For sure, yeah.
So what should we be doing?
Setting up for the next fight.
Precisely. Okay, so where would you want to set up for the next fight?
I'd probably take the high ground off to the left.
Up here?
No, like farther forward.
Oh, you mean like on
Yeah,
the bridge?
The catwalk, yeah.
Yeah, catwalk bridge, whatever you want to call it. Okay, that's fine. Any high ground is fine.
Okay.
Pushing up.
That would be really nice, actually, right? Because that's really strong aggressive positioning if you're up on the catwalk.
Yeah.
You don't have the cart very far, so setting up here wouldn't have been such a stupid thing to do
Okay.
because you don't know how far you're going to get the cart before this next fight happens.
Right.
So who's your priority target now?
Right here, I'd say was McCree between these 2.
Right. Absolutely.
Widow down.
So-
Widow down.
Yeah,
We can still push up.
pushing up.
I think the thing is here for me is you use your jump,
Yeah. Way too early.
but yeah, like right, you could have just walked up to this corner. So long as your team aren't dead or dying, like if your team are about to die here, I understand why you might jump forwards because you need to tank some damage for.
Of course, yeah.
But ideally, you don't use your jump here. You then see a target, say, "Oh, McCree back right. I'm going in 3, 2, 1 now." You jump on the Cree. Everyone goes on him. Great. Or if you hadn't used it, monkey wasted cooldown right side. I'm going on monkey because he just used his jump right and he's super out of position now.
Right.
If you'd gone on the monkey there, that wouldn't have been,
Okay, get out.
that wouldn't have been that questionable because he was just feeding.
Alright, tank down.
Yeah, we gotta regroup. Get out completely. Get out completely. Yep.
Their monkey's hitting low.
Yeah, get out completely. It's okay.
But like
Get back
I guess the kind of the takeaway I'm kind of getting at here is you need to have some setup for
They were
dive,
just
right?
saying
You
you
can't
be
just
careful.
dive blindly.
What's
You need to be
that?
set up in a location where you can
we're gonna play
see
for, Demon
and or
Reaper.
know where they are
Yeah,
and the target that you're going on before you engage.
Right.
Oh, they have
Like no
Reaper
matter
left side.
what, you can't just use your jump
I'm up.
for no
Let's
reason,
get this-
right? So now you have this. It's like okay, so we know where everyone is,
Oh, they have Reaper left side.
and like you rightly identified, like Zen is who you want to go on. But if he's so far back you can't go on him, then Ana or McCree, they're all fine, right?
Right.
So you say to your team, so and so is playing here. I'm going to initiate on them, and then give them a countdown, and then everyone can go on it at the same time and just kill that target instantaneously.
Right.
Let's get this started. Oh,
Sorry.
So right, screw this monkey. Who cares what he's doing? Right?
Yeah.
Just kill his team. He can't do anything if you do that.
Okay.
Hey, Reaper now.
So this is the same thing, right? Like if you're jumping, your jump does 30 damage. Or 50 damage. Is it 30 or 50 or 40? Whatever, right?
Yeah, one of them.
It's an amount of damage that is relevant.
Right.
no matter what, landing your jumps on someone, and then like that's free damage onto someone, right?
Right.
You can't, especially if you're nanoed, it's a shitload of damage. You just jump on them, punch them, and then zap them a couple of times, and they're dead. So you need to not be using your jump like this, right? You need to use your jump to initiate onto a target.
Okay.
Reaper one. Nice. Monkey slept. Monkey slept.
Great.
McCree.
Okay, purple. Very purple.
You should have said Zarya in it personal, right?
Yep.
Because that is like one of the most important cooldowns in the game, is whether Zarya has bubbles or not.
100%.
Monkey on me.
Monkey and Zarya ult.
Zarya in it personal behind us, Zarya Omega. So right, this Zarya has no personal. And no matter what, this guy is never number one priority target. Unless you're a death ball comp and he's just jumped into the middle of your team.
Right.
Ideally, you never shoot at this guy. You disassemble his team piece by piece, and then he's like, "Oh shit, my team's dead."
Okay.
Anna's low. Anna's low. Under. Oh, Zarya had energy.
Sorry.
But I think, like you said at the beginning of this, you're just kind of spending this whole time focusing on their tanks.
Yeah, for sure.
Monkey down.
Not
Reaper on the
ideal.
right. Anna one. Anna one.
Reaper's coming to
That was a
point.
nice juggle there.
Reaper. Reaper and bubble. Reaper no bubble.
Sorry.
Zarya. Reloading. Reloading.
Monkey.
Monkey wake. Monkey wake.
Shouldn't even be focusing on him at that
Just
point.
focus. Burn down monkey. Burn down.
You need to be killing what's on cart. If there's something else contesting cart, then you need to be killing that, right? So now it's fine.
Monkey wake.
Like it's like whatever. You have to be going on
Just
him.
focus.
He's
Burn
now
down
on
monkey. Burn
cart.
down monkey.
Monkey one.
Monkey.
Monkey down. Reaper on point. Reaper on point. No raid. Focus. Reaper. Focus. Reaper.
Pearl.
Moira.
More. No raid.
Right, and if you want to call a new target. Like Moira is you were right to focus the Moira. She's number one priority. She's a support.
Right.
You want to kill supports first.
Okay.
You have the right idea when you're doing that. She is number one. It's always a support. If you can ever kill a supports, always kill the supports first.
Right.
If that's possible to do. Most of the time it's not, because the supports will either be positioned so safe that you can't get on them without dying, or you take so much poke that you're going to die. So, and that's why you need to take space from their tanks. You end up in a tank battle. But the way that they're playing, you could completely ignore their tanks in every single fight and kill all their backline before their tanks could do anything, right?
Right.
And that would be ideal, because it's much easier and quicker to do that than it is to kill a tank, because everyone's going to invest all their resources into helping that tank. Whereas a support or a squishy just dies too fast for people to do that.
Right.
Block. Reloading.
Sorry.
Monkey. They have a break. Nice. Break. Reaper for more.
Reaper.
Break down. Good job.
Those defense, I mean,
Not much, but it's
So this comp's even worse on defense.
Yeah.
Tracer can never do anything. There's far too much high ground, right? Tracer is really bad on Gibraltar in general, just because high ground is absolutely an integral part of this.
Right.
Typically, that's why people would play Genji. Hanzo would be better, right?
Right.
Sombra is arguably doable because she can get on high ground. Sombra is just good because her ultimates were really, really strong.
Yeah, EMP is ridiculous.
And you can live with these two, but if you're going to run this, you have to run Genji.
Okay.
Typically, people would run a variety. I mean, there's a variety of things, but I'd say like Ana, Zen, Widow, Genji, and then dive tanks would be a fairly typical comp. Some people might run Brig instead of Genji because that gives you a lot of blue box control.
Right.
It's honest work.
And something's gonna
they're
like
all
without even watching this. I guess you're
I
gonna set up really aggressive, right? Or are you gonna set up a blue box?
I kept holding.
Because if you set on blue box, then I'm really impressed.
No, we don't.
So the key to this point is
I think they.
That was big.
I think they're big.
Okay, so well,
Yeah, he
I
didn't.
think that's what it was.
this is fine. How many fights do you get on this point?
So we actually spawn camped them here for a little bit.
Okay.
Yeah.
If you play in their spawn, then that's actually really smart.
Yeah.
Because this point is so short, your chances are you're only ever going to get one fight, unless you play in their spawn and your kill box is their spawn door.
Yeah.
Which arguably is actually doable, but you need to, I guess, think about the setup for that. It's not something that I've seen done, but I have theory crafted about that. I thought about that that's probably doable, but
I don't think
So
they're-
you
people
really have.
probably tell me that
time
that's a
to
really
like-
stupid idea.
I think they just.
Yeah, I think you're right.
But setting up here is not a good idea,
No,
because-
we end up switching out from up here.
because if everyone dies here, they full push to the end,
Yep.
right?
Yep.
And it's not a good position. This is because blue box is. This is why blue box is the position, right?
Right.
Because cart pushes along happily up to this point, like down here at the bottom of the choke, and all you have to do as a tank, go down, come back up, repeat. Diva does the same. They then have to dislodge you from blue box, which is really, really difficult
Right.
because you have hard cover and your widow is like stood back here shooting the absolute shit out of them.
Mm-hmm.
And this is part of the reason that Genji became kind of integral to this point, is because he can dislodge them because he gets his ultimate that fast if there's two tanks sat on blue box, because he just pokes them until he gets his ult, and then you execute onto the backline.
Right.
There's various ways of going about attacking this defense, but typically this is kind of like, this is the way it evolved, I guess.
Right.
And this rotation was kind of always key because you can do it forever.
Mm-hmm.
And it's kind of super hard to dislodge because the second that they go on your backline, you go to your backline and peel.
Yeah.
Right.
I don't know if they. Like,
Well, they did
They
switch
like-
to Celibate.
So this room is terrible,
Yep.
right? In
Yep.
general, the second that they take control of the high ground behind you, you're trapped in here.
Mm-hmm.
Unless you're like, okay, we're going to set up to dive their spawn door and we're going to kill their Zen as he comes
So-
out,
Go there.
which is fine. Like I said, arguably that's actually doable. If you set someone up here and you're set up here and you're just going to dive them as they come down this ramp, like if this is your kill box, it's doable, right? That is doable.
Right.
It's pretty insane, and I'd really like to see someone do that. But there's a lot of, like, I guess, you know, that was a lot of words that literally didn't mean anything.
Yeah.
Strategically, it does make sense to do that because you still get two fights if you're fighting here.
Right.
Right.
Go play on catwalk. They had.
Okay.
Yeah. Again, but
Yeah, call out if you see Widow. Call out everything right now.
yeah.
More information than us.
and
They
back-
go slaves, be ready to.
Bastion.
Oh,
Bastion's down. Bastion's down.
Okay, so the only thing you can see here is Brig, right?
Right.
Well, and an Orisa. Obviously, Orisa's a big no-no.
Mm-hmm.
No matter what comp you're playing. If you're playing goats, you don't even want to focus Orisa because she's literally there to take a shitload of damage.
Mm-hmm.
So you just say, I'm going on cart on Brig in 3, 2, 1, go, right?
Right.
I mean, ideally you're going to go on whatever. There's a support somewhere else.
Do they have a mercy?
Where's the shield
I
point?
see Brig.
Hog left. Hog left on stairs.
She's left.
Anna.
Anna one.
Hog high ground. Hog high ground.
That was a nice follow-up to that call.
Brig.
Hog purple. Hog purple.
Yeah.
Hop. Nice. Orisa point.
Jumping out.
Orisa point.
That was a good call, right? This is the first time I heard you say what you were doing. I'm jumping out.
Right.
Like that you need to be giving all of that information all the time so your team know what you're doing.
Okay.
Yep.
Reloading.
Orisa.
Very low. Five. Around.
But this is the kind of strategy I mean, where you end up just spawning at their door.
Alright, heal up.
So ideally, you can stage from up here. I don't know if you can stage from up there, but that would be really, really good
Mm-hmm.
if you can. You don't want to be executing from low ground.
Or-
That's what we do.
I'm
Here.
gonna pulse the Bastion if they have
They
Bastion.
swapped off.
No, they don't. No, they switched. Yeah.
Okay, so they switched. So what can we kill in this comp?
Anna. Anna's the first one.
Anna's number 1, and then what's number 2?
I'd probably go Ash.
I probably would too. In theory, Ash is more mobile than Hanzo. Because Hanzo only has leap, Ash has coach gun, and coach gun puts you a lot further away.
Very true.
But yeah, right. These two. Communicate that to your team. Okay, we're gonna wait for Ash or Anna to come out. Okay, they're coming out. Anna coming out of spawn now. Going in 3, 2, 1 now. Execute onto the Anna.
No, they switched. They switched. Yeah.
Onto Ash.
They're still main.
Because if everyone knows what target you're gonna go on before this fight, then everyone's looking for that target. They see them come out as well. They're already processing it, right? They're already ready to go.
Ana low, Ana low.
Of course,
Keep it even.
your Tracer just blasts them in the face.
That's how you get them early pulses.
You can, you could even set up here. If they don't come out top door, then that's a great place to be.
Okay.
Because that way you can drop onto them for free and then have your jump to escape if you need it.
Right.
Are we spawn capping? Is this BM?
Yes, we are.
Just a little bit.
Well, they went
We are
back.
spawn capping.
So again, you should be talking about what target you're going to go on.
Right.
Or what ults they have.
Which they're not gonna have any
you
because
s-
they swapped.
Yeah, exactly, right. It's still, that's the kind of communication you have to have in between fights. But
Okay.
it's the same, like, okay, I'm going to wait for the Anna to come onto, I don't know, ideally onto the ramp because you don't want her to walk back into the spawn, right?
Mm-hmm.
So the ramp is probably where you want to be. That's kind of part of the reason I wouldn't want to set up where you are. Because
Right.
you can't leap onto her
Mm-hmm.
easily. They're just going to walk into you. So,
Right.
but yeah. The key is to identify that target before the fight. Or say, I'm going to kill something when it goes here.
They're main again. Yeah, we could. Oh, they have a widow now. They have a widow now.
Okay, Widow, play safe, play safe. Widow, no.
Ash, Ash, Ash,
Widow's
Ash.
main, Widow's main.
Diva.
That was not... why did you...
Ash, Ash,
My
Ash,
thought
Ash.
was to jump to take the high ground, and I just missed it.
Diva.
Diva low, Diva low, Diva low in front of point.
And
Diva
then
low in
once they
front
were
of point.
going to start pushing the cart, fall
Carry your
back
purple,
down.
carry your purple. They have a Lucio?
So, this is kind of the same thing here, right?
In front of point.
The second your leap comes off cooldown, what should you be looking to do?
Dive the Ana.
Absolutely. Absolutely right. You know, dude, you're so good at answering questions, man. Most people are like, you know all this stuff already.
Mhm.
Right? It's you need to be actively thinking it in game, I think is the issue here.
Yeah, no, definitely.
It's like you always want to be looking for a support. If you can ever get on a support as monkey, you get on a support as monkey.
Right.
So you should just be going on the Ana, right?
They have a Lucio?
Screw the baby diva. Who gives a toss?
Right.
Okay.
Anna is super duper important, and you just so happen to end up on her, which is
She's down.
good. But
Reloading.
Lucio 1.
Got Lucio.
Right side, Diva.
so again, I would set up an high ground before this.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and this is... I royally fuck up here. For sure.
She's with.
You on?
Completely out of line of sight from healers.
She's with.
1v1ing the Diva, which is
Specs.
stupid.
Well, yeah. I mean, sure, but you end up in this position. What should you be doing?
Jumping out.
Okay, yeah. I mean, okay. So say you can't jump out.
Right.
How do you win this matchup?
Strafing bubble.
Absolutely. Which you're not doing.
No, not at all.
She's with.
Specs.
Get out.
Okay, play safe, everyone. Play safe.
But at any point in that, like, this is what I mean about saying
Right side.
I'm going on this target here.
Okay.
Diva bottom right, we can stagger her. Diva bottom right, I'm going on Diva.
Focus her.
Can anyone help me? I'm on Diva bottom right. And if they're all like, no, 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 your brain's like, back, 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 back.
Right.
This is actually fine. If everyone commit, or if just your Tracer commits with you, you demech this Diva, it's fine.
Right.
She's with.
Specs.
Get out.
Okay, play safe, everyone. Play safe.
But you need to communicate you're doing it, right?
Right.
Every time you do anything, your team needs to know exactly what you're doing.
They have spawn event. Everyone get out, get out, get out.
Yep,
We gotta group up, we gotta get up.
And also something, if you're worried about like not actively thinking about stuff, because you clearly understand a lot of this and know this all already.
Right.
is when you say stuff, like when you're going to do anything and you're actively communicating it, you can also say to yourself why.
Right.
So I'm focusing Ryan, and then like you don't have to do that in comms, obviously. Like I'm focusing Ryan. Oh wait, why the hell am I focusing Ryan? Anna's the top priority target, right?
Right.
And the second you start actively speaking it, or like saying it to yourself, then your brain has to actively think about it.
Right.
And then you're like, oh, this makes no sense. Why am I doing so and so?
Yeah, of course.
But the rest of the like now you're just kind of on autopilot, right? You automatically go on the defense. You see a free kill, the whole team's dead. That is great, right? You spot an opportunity, but you need to communicate it.
Right.
This is the big thing there.
Okay.
And the second you see everyone's not there, you need to be, oh crap, I need to get
Got
out.
it.
No staggers, no staggers.
So you should be telling everyone to get back now,
I'll
right?
bomb.
Yeah.
Set up,
down.
let's set up for blue box
Staggers.
defense.
Toss on your back, Widow. Yeah, no staggers. Very good. We need a real. Okay, we're all here. We're all here. Let's go.
Widow on top.
Ryan's out of position. Ryan.
Ryan.
Bro's top with me.
So who you should, I don't even need to say it, right? You know who you should be going on.
Yep.
You can, right? Everyone on your team has mobility apart from Anna.
Right.
So ideally your Anna's up here with your Widow. This is your Anna, I think.
Yeah.
If it is, that's really terrible. She should be up on high ground, sure. But you don't need to drop down here. You actually have like such a sick position up here, right? You just zip zap a zoop the shit out of them as they walk in. And if they're stupid, they walk forwards and their tank go out of position and you drop onto the Anna. And if they're smart, they recognize that, well, I guess they can't even contest you for this position, right? So
Yeah.
they just lose because your team comp's better. They physically can't contest you for this because everyone on your team can just kill this diva. The second she has to come up and contest you, everyone can shoot to her. Specifically, your Widow can focus her.
Right.
So you just stay up here and just say, Diva on me, Diva killable. And then you're like, okay, I'm gonna look for Anna.
Ryan.
Bro's top with me.
You didn't need to drop, right?
Okay, out of position. Nice.
Ryan.
Because controlling that space makes their life really, really difficult. It's almost impossible for them to do that. And you're stood up here, you are making space. You are making a shed load of space.
Right.
Because they have to pay so much attention to anything that's in this area. Because they can't just walk through here.
Right.
Which is what they're trying to do.
Focusing Ryan.
He healed.
Lucio's low on point.
The Widow's dead.
Lucio 1 on point. Reloading.
Bouncing.
Focusing Ryan.
Because you spend this whole time, everyone spends this whole time shooting a Ryan who's getting pocketed by an Anna, and he's nanoed.
Diva's low.
You can't kill him.
Ryan asleep. Ryan 1.
On the way to
Anna.
Diva.
Yeah,
You see
no
how fast
reason.
that you see how long that Anna lasts, right? The second that just you are on her. I mean, okay, I guess your tracer helped out, but she died pretty much instantaneously. If you do that at the beginning of a fight, it's done before it even starts.
Right.
Okay, cool. Just keep it
Yeah,
chill.
we can just
I'm gonna go for an early pulse. Okay, wish me luck.
I'm close to Beth.
No one can hide from my
Oh, thank you for that.
So again, we can look at their comp. This guy, preferably this guy. Say, I'm gonna look for McCree or Anna as they come through the under bridge or come through underpass.
Right.
I don't know what your whatever callout you use.
No! He dodged it!
Damn.
I love doing that though.
Okay, monkeys.
Okay, monkey jumping up here,
Monkey
monkey jumping up here, monkey one. Okay, no.
Okay, monkeys.
Okay, monkey jumping up here, monkey one, monkey.
I don't think that can be an accurate call.
Okay.
Monkey cannot be one here, but
Monkey
maybe
one.
he is.
Okay, no, oh my god, I don't have recall.
No.
Pretty sure he was half HP.
Yeah.
Well,
Yeah.
pretty sure he was only half HP, which is obviously quite different to 1. 'Cause if Monkey's 1, what should you be doing?
Focusing the monkey.
Well, right?
Right.
You should be using jump. You should just be going like full 100%, like pour everything all into their team, their monkey's won, he's dead, then you win the fight. If he is actually won.
Right.
I'm pretty sure he was half a one, because there's no way he's back up to full that quickly.
Right.
It's hard to see.
Okay, monkeys.
If he got Widow headshotted and
Monkey
got
one,
like...
monkey one. Okay, no. Oh my god. I don't have
He's half.
Okay, cool.
Fall back.
But what should you have done here? I'm gonna go back and we'll watch this fight again.
I love doing that though.
Okay, monkeys.
Okay, monkey jumping up here. Monkey jumping up here. Monkey one.
I should have bubbled earlier and then focused the McCree.
I don't know about the bubble. You didn't need to bubble because you can only see the McCree.
Right.
He can flashbang, right click you. It doesn't matter, you've got... But you're right. Just jump on this guy. Clap him instantaneously. He's like 12,000 miles out of position.
Okay.
And you can go as deep as you like because you have your ult.
Right.
Nope. Oh my god. I don't have recall. Okay, cool.
Fall back.
Yeah, fall back. I got bubble.
I'm dead.
Fall back. Focus monkey out of position.
Monkey's so low.
Monkey one. Okay, fall.
Monkey's so low.
Monkey one.
You still have 400 HP.
Yeah,
You shouldn't be able to.
Did not need to use that at all.
Monkey one. Okay, fall back. Widow server room.
Widow low.
Widow.
Widow.
Widow down. Keep it.
I'm dead.
Give us one.
Get McCree.
Where's McCree?
Getting.
This fight is so chaotic.
Yeah.
Yeah, fall back.
We end up losing this fight and then get
Fall back.
so just
Focus monkey out of
Monkey.
position.
Monkey's so low.
Monkey one.
So, first mistake was you didn't ult. I'm gonna go back to before this fight. So, the difficult thing, like I said, is because you don't have any powerful ults, you have no win condition.
Right.
So you can't say, we've got Blade, that's our win condition. Your win condition with this comp is kill things.
Mm-hmm.
Which is generally not a good win condition to have. I guess the only thing we know is their win condition here is beat.
Right.
Because they definitely have beat.
Mm-hmm.
McCree shouldn't ever kill stuff with his ult, but he does here. And basically all of the other ults are like, whatever, who cares?
Right.
This is maybe scary because she can put it on Winston, but... This is the big one.
Mm-hmm.
So if you clap the Lucio before the fight starts, he could be your target here. If you guys are ult tracking, if you know that they have a beat, then he could definitely be your priority target here.
Right.
But otherwise, it's the same as before, right? Kill
Yeah.
one of these guys, win the fight.
Right.
Good luck.
I'm close to about.
I'm trying to get a pick real quick.
No! He dodged it.
Part of the issue with being in this position is you can't see anything at all.
Right.
So you can't set up for a dive. You can't say, I'm going on so-and-so here, because you can't see anything.
Damn.
Whereas a blue box, you can kind of peek around the side of it.
Right.
I mean, you should at least be playing at the corner, right? So you can see.
I love doing that though.
Okay, monkeys.
Okay, monkey jumping up here. Monkey one. Okay, nope. Oh my god. I don't have recall. Okay, cool.
Fall back.
So, firstly, you should have committed into this
I got
McCree
bubble.
I'm dead.
at the beginning of that fight.
Focus monkey
Monkey.
out of position.
You shouldn't have given up high ground,
Focus monkey out of position.
right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
You want to follow on up to this call, but how many people are shooting him on your team?
There's 4 people right there.
Well, I mean, probably all like basic and Mercy. Let's say Mercy counts. There's literally your whole team. So, how's the only way he can survive is his team follows up,
Right. Right.
which they can't do if you're controlling that position, and you have your ult to do so.
Mm-hmm.
Monkey's so low.
Monkey one. Okay, fall back.
Also, part of your mistake here is he's 1 HP. What do they have as their main healer?
Anna.
And what can't Anna shoot through?
Bubble.
Yeah.
Monkey's so low.
So you bubble him straight away, right?
Right.
Monkey one. Okay, fall back. Widow server
He
room.
dies here. So actually, you guys should win this fight. It's like, okay, stabilize, we just need to focus.
Widow.
Widow.
Widow down.
So, at this point, this fight is pretty much won. This is all a big yikes.
Yeah.
But that's because everyone's positioning is really bad,
Okay.
right?
Widow down.
Like, you should never have people in this area.
Right. Yeah.
Let alone switches. But obviously, that's not your mistake.
I'm dead.
Give us one. Where's McCree?
Getting
A point on point.
Anna's one on point.
Give it back. Almost give it back. Okay, give it up.
Should I not use bomb?
No.
I'll just stall so we can reset.
Yep.
We should be able to stall so we
I'm just sorry, I want to watch that again. I know we are kind of getting late time-wise, but I think it's important to recognize what you personally could have done. So firstly, you could have bubbled him, then you could have waited longer on this.
Widow server room.
Widow low.
Widow.
And still, who's the number one target?
It's Ana.
Yeah. And you just walk past her.
Widow server room.
Widow low.
You like completely, and she's down here, and you see her.
Yep.
You can say Anna on stairs, or God, I forget the call out for this room, but I don't think anyone knows the call out for that.
Yeah.
Bottom right, I guess, because all of your team should be set up on high ground, so that would be bottom right for them.
Right.
Widow.
Widow down.
Widow down.
I'm dead.
And you kind of just
Monkey's so low.
Monkey one.
so you bubble him, kill him. Right, that's what you should have done
Widow
there.
server room.
And then here,
Widow.
screw the widow. If no one tells you where she is, you can't turn around. There's no point. Right?
Okay, fall back.
This should be, I am gonna chase this McCree, like, say you didn't know the Anna was there, which I don't think you recognized that she was on the stairs.
No.
Then you just chase this guy to death, right? You just chase him to death with your roll. You still got another 6 seconds. You just stick on his ass and he cannot do anything.
Widow down.
There's no point in you going back. Because you're creating so much space by being in the middle of that team.
I'm dead.
Give us one.
It allows McCree to step forward.
Getting
Yeah.
Anna's one on point.
I mean, it doesn't help that your team are massively mispositioned. But he wouldn't have had that space if you just stayed on him.
I'll just stall so we can reset.
Yep.
We should be able to recontest.
Someone's gotta go though.
I don't think we'll make it.
Yeah,
Let's
go ahead.
just not do it.
Monkey's on it. Monkey.
So you shouldn't be we shouldn't even be thinking about recontesting.
Right.
We should be able to recontest once.
You're too down.
Maybe not.
Last second.
Someone's gotta go though.
I don't think we'll
This is not possible. You're 2 people down. There's literally no way.
Yeah.
make it.
Yeah,
Let's
go ahead.
just not do it.
Monkey's on it. Monkey's on
Get
it.
out.
So where do we need to set up for second point defense?
Take high ground again. Take the ship. Take the ship. Fuck.
Shuttle, spaceship,
Yeah.
whatever you want to call it.
Right.
I think most people call it shuttle.
Yeah.
So you set up from here, and then you can dive here. You can dive over that way. You can dive down any of the bombs, any of the doors. Right. You can kill people as they come through those chokes.
Yeah,
We're good. We're all here.
Sorry,
Monkey.
We're falling apart here.
because I know that we're kind of low on time. So,
If you want to do the second hour right now, I can do that too.
that would not be ideal for me. I
Okay.
have something booked
That's fine. No worries.
off.
Hold corner here.
Get everybody healed
Where's
up.
River? Bottom left?
So the key here is you're just on low ground, which you shouldn't be.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're playing really weird.
Is this VOD only one map, or is there another map
No,
after
this is only one map. They push it all the way to the end, and then it goes pretty deep into overtime.
I'm going down.
Oh, holy shit! Okay.
Regroup.
Yeah, regroup.
Yeah.
But the key with all of this is you didn't have any high ground control, so you couldn't dive them as they came through the chokes there, right?
Right. Yeah.
Second point, that's the key to holding second point is high ground control and executing clean dives onto their backline as they come through any of the chokes.
Right. Right.
We have 3 minutes, right? We started 3 minutes late, so
Yeah, they're hyper chasing me. Calm down, monkey.
Okay,
Diva's
let's
bottom right.
follow specs targets.
Yep.
Right, Diva? I'm not there.
Widow's high ground.
Right, who cares about the diva, right?
Yeah.
Like you say. Also, why'd you roll out this way?
there.
You always roll out from high ground.
Yeah, honestly, I have no clue. That was just not a good move.
I mean, like, no matter what, if you're playing dive, always want to be set up on high ground.
Right.
High ground every single time.
They're hyper chasing me. Calm down, monkey.
Unless there's literally 6 people stood at that doorway. Like, there's just, you always have to come out that door.
Right.
Because it gives you the easiest access to the high ground, which is the most important part of this map. Of this, by this point.
Okay,
Keep
let's
it bottom right.
follow specs targets.
So, who did you just hit shoot?
Deep.
I'll let you listen again.
Yep.
No. That was Anna.
Targets.
Shoo. I don't know. It's someone that's played a shitload of Anna. That's Anna.
Okay.
She's just next to you. She's literally just the other side of this box.
Okay.
Right, Diva?
But
Yep.
either way, you should be looking to stage onto. That's Lucio. Actually, maybe she's not there. She's further back. It's McCree that's there. Or was that? No, that's still Lucio. But you did hear the Anna shoot because the Anna shot and it hit the dart hit the back of the wall. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. No matter what, you should be setting up to dive on that Anna, right?
Okay. Yep.
Who cares about the diva? Go on the Anna. She's the #1 target. You're playing dive. You dive a target.
Right.
This is not a target you can dive.
I'm not there.
Widow's high ground.
So you waste all your life just trying to kill something you can't kill.
Right.
Widow uncontested.
Widow's one. Widow's one. Widow
We gotta fight on card.
Like ideally, for that fight, you guys have set up high ground and then you dive as they come through the choke or come under the bridge, right?
Right.
Like I said, dive. You always want to be executing as they come through some sort of choke because they're all stuck in a small space. It's easy to execute onto them.
Our targets are yeah. They're not there right now.
Specs switch to Ryan. Let's slow it down.
The problem is they're Widow too, though.
It's okay.
Well, we
Ours
gotta
is
go.
better.
Our Widow is not good. We're just.
Sorry, Are they gonna stay this comp and you're gonna go Ryan?
I believe so. Yeah.
That is quite questionable.
At the least, yeah.
Yeah, that's a nice way of putting it.
Yeah.
That's WTF is probably what I'd say if I was being less polite.
Right.
Ryan has absolutely. I mean, you can recognize this yourself, right? You don't need me to tell
Yeah,
you this. You're
yeah.
clearly a smart guy, right? Ryan is a terrible choice here. Ryan does absolutely nothing for this composition, and he gets absolutely fucked.
Yeah.
He has. You have Matrix. That is your only defensive ability. This gets shat on because they've got a diva, so she can't heal you. So you're literally just stuck there. You have no speed boost and no defensive abilities, and you just get literally just get fucked.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Which is what's about to happen, right?
Yeah. No, 100%.
They're actually just gonna They're actually just gonna focus you down,
Yeah.
even though you're a Rhino. You're just gonna get absolutely fucked.
Nice. Monkey's low.
So there's no point you trying to take a fight in this position as Reinhardt. You actually need to play on this corner, which
Okay.
is what you're doing in the first place. You don't want to go more aggressive than that.
Monkey's low.
Yeah, I heard Monkey low and.
There's
landed on
Lucy
that.
behind, Lucy behind. He's gone.
Freeze one.
I'm so glad you slammed into that wall, dude. I was
Yeah.
gonna lose my mind if you just went like.
Oh
off to
no
Narnia.
no.
Monkey.
Looking for Lucy.
Monkey.
Lucy.
No, he's out. He's low.
What?
Lucy's one.
Lucio down.
Falling up.
Monkey behind.
back. Monkey on healers.
Shattered.
No, monkey on us. Monkey full health.
Diva one. Diva one. Gotta regroup.
Part of the reason this doesn't work is obviously you cannot take any space for your team as Ryan,
Right.
Monkey's just.
whereas you can do that as Winston.
Monkey's down.
Don't tell me he dies. Don't tell me he dies. Oh my god, that's the best thing I've seen in my whole life.
Yeah.
Nice.
No way, dude.
Yeah.
So, right, The key with charge is to make the distance as short as possible every single time.
Mhm.
Anything longer than like literally the distance I've drawn, you should not be charging.
Okay.
That charge that you went for was too long.
Yeah.
And ideally the target's like right in the middle, because otherwise you just die.
Okay, McCree on point, half. He's low.
I think you were aiming to hit onto that pillar, but you just kind of go.
Yeah, no, I was.
Yeah.
McCree on point, half. He's low, he's low.
Shattering, shattering.
Oh, Widow's high ground. Watch out. Watch out. Watch out.
Widow 1.
But right, you need to be playing monkey here because
Yeah.
you need to kill this widow. Keep her pressured. Their comp gets absolutely screwed by dive, so there's no reason to go right here.
Unbelievable.
Rising.
McCree's by
McCree's
the
on
right.
Widow is.
I need help contesting on the point.
Yep. Up right there. I'm getting this.
McCree's one.
Why didn't you go on the target? You shattered.
I'm getting this.
McCree's one.
No clue.
You shattered the Anna.
Yeah.
I don't think you realised you shattered the Anna,
Nope.
but you shattered the Anna.
Nope. Yeah. Yeah, and she just sits there.
Lucio
Chris?
1. Lucio 1 on me. Lucio 1 on me. Lucio 1 on me.
Coming here.
I'm down.
Stay at one.
Keep the purple.
Okay. Everybody come to the point.
Literally.
Call trigger, call trigger.
Sorry, that's the best call ever. Everybody come to the point. It's literally outside your spawn door.
Yeah.
Lucio, thank you.
You should have swapped already.
Final point.
You should have swapped to Hammond
Damn.
already, right?
Yeah.
Because she needs to get on point, but... And on that note, we have to end.
Okay.
You have silver damage?
Uh-huh.
Question mark.
Yeah.
There's a lot of questions. But in terms of your play, so playing dive, you have to recognize that you need to play high ground. Like, the high ground is super important, but understanding why high ground is important is kind of relevant, right?
Right.
Because you need to execute onto a target as it comes through a choke.
Okay.
And ideally a squishy target.
Right.
It also means that you can see where they're going, what they're doing, and you can see your target that you're planning on focusing, like ideally right at the end.
Right.
So you're set up on high ground, Anna comes through the choke, you're like, okay, so before the fight we'll have established, I'm going to look for Anna or McCree,
Right.
and I'm going to call it when I go on them. Oh, Anna's coming bottom right, I'm going in 3, 2, 1 now. You hit the Anna, kill her, easy fight. Because you're playing dive. And that's how you execute dive in general.
Okay.
Do you have any questions? Because I do have some time to spare.
No. I think I'm all good right now. Yeah, just really recognizing the target calling, the focus on it. That's huge. High ground.
I mean, the key is the setup, right? The
Yeah.
key is the setup. You're not setting up for a dive
Right.
at all. There's not a single time that you're set up on the high ground. You're like, I'm gonna look for this Anna this fight.
Mhm.
You're just kind of waiting for something to happen, like hiding around a corner, like you were on the first point of Gibraltar, right?
Right. Right.
It doesn't look so bad on attack because you're attacking, so you're constantly trying to take positions. But on defense, it's pretty clear that you don't know how to execute that.
Right. Right.
So, like I said, the key is you're setting up on high ground somewhere, preferably on high ground. Maybe you don't set up on high ground, but
Right.
in general, high ground, you look for whatever target is your priority target and you dive it whenever it comes through a choke.
Okay.
Okay, I've stopped recording, but yeah. And ideally, you guys can talk about this before the game, right?
Right. Right.
You can say they're probably going to go this way, so the second that Anna is here, I'm going to go on her.
Mm-hmm.
And this is as well the difference between 6 random people. Like, this might as well just be a platinum ranked game,
Okay. Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Rather than 6 people trying to make organized play.
Mm-hmm.
Because there's no, like, guys haven't, you're like, are we spawn camping? Yes. Well, was that not your strategy? That's a viable strategy, sure, but if you haven't decided to, like, you should know what you're doing before the game even starts, right?
Right. Right.
Especially as dive, it's super important to know that as dive. So we're going to hold these positions and we're going to kill them as they come through these other positions.
Right.
And that's why like the Gibraltar thing is like that's why blue box always ends up being where people end up, because it's the easiest place to execute from. You can stall the car, you can execute onto any position where their supports are likely to be.
Right.
You know, that's a lot of extra. There's a huge amount of extra stuff we could talk about that kind of.
Right. Of course. Yeah.
But the key for you, setting up on high ground, deciding what your priority target is before the fight, and saying, I'm going to look for this target as it comes here. And communicating that to your team as well, right? Because you're playing dive. You want all of you to execute that dive onto that target as it goes wherever you've said that you're going to dive it.
Okay. Yeah.
Was that clear?
Yeah. 100%.
I know there's... if you've recorded it as well, that's good. Because you can obviously go back and look through it.